We both thought the 49ers were going to win last night. I thought the game was going to be closer. I had them not covering. I was threading the thinnest of needles there because I really wasn't sure whether to pick the Rams or the 49ers. You were on the 49ers and the cover, and they did. What is it that Kyle Shanahan has over Sean McVay? 7 straight wins now in the regular season.
Well, I think the first thing is just the physical matchup and makeup of the team, right, Mike? We've talked about this a little last week when we broke down the game on our podcast. I think the first thing is the Rams, their greatest advantage against most matchups is they overwhelm you with team speed. They're a fast football team. Well, Shanahan, Lynch, the 49ers, they've built a team that's equally as fast, but I think has a size advantage as well. Let alone, hey, McVay and Shanahan, both creative, but I do think Shanahan's more creative. And I think Shanahan has found a way to be a little more influential with DeMeco Ryans on the defensive side of the field, and they seem to have a great feel for how the Rams want to attack them always and really overwhelm them. So it's like not only is the scheme itself, not there to deliver for the Rams like we usually see, and the 49ers are all over it, but then the actual players overrun the X's and O's on the board there like we saw last time. I mean, come on. The defense dominated the Rams. The Rams, it's 3 yards per play. They can't protect Stafford throwing the football. They can't run the ball that way. Really, it's a 24-9 butt whooping that really was worse than that. 49ers left opportunities on the field. Jimmy G, I still don't think played all that great, but they got the win. But, man, they got the Rams number, to your point, Mike.
One thing that dawned on me last hour was the defense has realized we can leave no doubt. We can't be in a close game late where we're trailing because we can't count on our offense to go win it with Jimmy G at the helm. So we have to just drop the hammer. And they did with the pick 6 from Tuolonga Hufanga last night. That gets it done. That makes it happen. And you don't need your offense to step up and come from behind like they did in Denver. They got it done defensively. And that was what we thought was going to happen against the Broncos. We thought they were just going to put the hammer down and the Broncos aren't going to score. But when they did, the 49ers couldn't answer. Yeah, and I think that defense collectively realized last night we're not going to put ourselves in a spot where we need to rely on the offense to make something happen.
Yeah, no question. And I think, hey, that Broncos defense, it's still really good, right? And then Jimmy Garoppolo, we can't forget, did some real boneheaded things last week in that matchup. And I think the 49ers, to your point, you're right. They're going to have to play through the defense. They're going to hope Jimmy comes along as we go along here and gets better and better. We do got to give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't really have a training camp. He didn't really get reps the first week of the year, so he's kind of just getting his feet underneath him. But then I think, it's only a matter of time. Like we saw last night, Shanahan delivers so many creative plays to the offense, and they got so many playmakers where, they haven't even really, hit on all strides on the offensive side of the ball yet. The 49ers, to me, are a team that, they're 2-2, Mike, but with the way they look physically on the field and the faith I have in the coaching staff, I just go, watch out. It's only a matter of time. How can you not and look at them on the football field and go, wow, there's some dominant aspects of their football team that can translate to a deep January run or getting to the Super Bowl. And you can't say that about the Rams right now. The Rams got major concerns, or not major concerns, but concerns. They don't look like last year.
And I do apologize. Talanoa Hufanga, I mispronounced his first name. It's a name we all better get used to because he is special. They were raving about him last night. The obvious Troy Polamalu comparisons. At one point, Troy Aikman called him a Tasmanian devil. That's what I always called Troy Polamalu. And it's that uncanny innate ability, Chris, to know where the ball is going to be and to spring up out of nowhere to get it. That was always the Polamalu thing. And I always thought maybe quarterbacks held the ball just a half beat longer because we don't know where that guy is going to be. We don't know where 43 is going to pop up. And I think that now is a factor. If you're playing the 49ers, you got to wonder where 29 is going to be at any given moment.
Agreed. This is a defensive scheme that's, rooted in a lot of that Seattle scheme principles. It's evolved, right, a little bit, but he's a little bit of their version of the Cam Chancellor. It's why Jaquiski Tartt's not there anymore. And, Mike, you're right. He plays like his hair's on fire. He was a guy at USC that I got to see up close when they played Notre Dame, and I was covering Notre Dame for NBC, where he was a really good football player, but too big. Was kind of like, wait, should I be a linebacker or safety? They've cut his weight down. line, and you could see how fast he is, but he's that, hey, he's great. He's real good in coverage, but he's great around the line of scrimmage. He's that extra safety in the box, and then you can see he can cover some people and make some plays on the outside. But that's what's impressive about the 49ers, Mike. I just think when you look at them as a full team, and we see them last night without Javon Kinlaw and a few injuries on the offensive line, and you just go, whoa, defensive line, special. Whoa, linebackers with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, special. The secondary's better than it was last year with Hufanga, to your point, and Charvarius Ward. So, yeah, I look at them and just go, I just think this is a team that'll continue to get better now that Jimmy G's there. There's no more Trey Lance, and they can kind of just focus on one plan as they go here.
7 sacks last night of Matthew Stafford.
Man.
And something I said last hour, Chris, and we know how Stafford is wired. He's probably got like 6 injuries he's not telling anybody about. Like, he didn't seem right to me last night. Something doesn't seem right with him. He's not the guy that he was last year. And it can't just be, I don't have anyone to throw to other than Cooper Kupp. It feels like he's just not where he's been in the past. And it's not that he's suddenly lost his fastball. I think he's just banged up, and he's not going to tell anybody about it.
I don't doubt that. I mean, he's one of those tough SOBs that, has played through injury a lot in his career. I heard you say that in the first hour, where he sucks it up and still plays at a pretty high level. I don't know if he can overcome this. I don't know if it's injuries. I'm sure he's banged up. I mean, he gets hit too much, regardless of last night and other games too, and then they're not the same up front. They're a different football team than last year. We got to get through this or get over this right now. They're not the same as the 2021 Rams. There's no Whitworth there. They lost one of their starting guards. Their run game is not dependable and has done nothing to scare a defense yet this year. Cam Akers doesn't look like himself. They can't pass protect quite the same. And then you hit on it, Mike. I mean, come on. They got to do something other than let's throw it to Cooper Kupp every play. There's no threat of the offense. Last night, I mean, when Joe Buck and Aikman showed plays, it was like the 49ers were, all about within 12 yards of the line of scrimmage, coming downhill. They're not scared about Allen Robinson. He does not look the same. He looks a step slower. And then it's all about Cooper Kupp. And against a great defense, Mike, it's one guy can't get it done against a group of 11. You can't make one guy the focal point against a really well-coached, talented team like this. And that's where, I am a little concerned about the Rams in the big picture of if they're a Super Bowl caliber team, which they don't look like through 4 weeks of the season to this point.
19 targets for Kupp last night, 14 catches, 122 yards. He's on pace for 179, which would obliterate the single-season record of 149.
Right.
But the rest of the team combined has 26 catches through 4 weeks.
That's insane.
There's got to be somebody else that Matthew Stafford can throw the ball to. And I was saying this last hour as well. They got to get OBJ back in the building and get him signed before he signs with someone else.
I don't disagree with that. Something has to be done as far as a guy that, is a playmaker, can be dependable to a degree. I don't know if the Allen Robinson thing's going to happen. We know they're missing Van Jefferson, so hopefully when he gets back, he can add a little juice. But it doesn't look like you're going to be able to rely on Robinson to be a clear-cut number 2 difference maker. So, Mike, I think that is it. I think when you couple lack of speed, lack of scary guy to go along with the offense, and then if you can't run the ball, that's when it becomes the dink and dunk fest. I mean, how many times last night did we have to see Stafford drop back and, oh my gosh, I got to get the ball out of my hands, and I'm only throwing a 4-yard route, but damn, I'm barely going to get out of my hands on that 4-yard route, and Cooper Kupp's going to catch it and get crushed in between defenders or whoever else. There's just not enough there right now, I think, that's stressing defenses out. And without that run game, there's no play-action pass either, which we know McVay and Stafford have thrived in last year in that Super Bowl run.
Darrell Henderson had 7 carries for 27 yards. Cam Akers 8 for 13. That is not nearly enough to balance out the offense.
No.
And that's what they need.
Right.
That's what they need. Matthew Stafford can't throw the ball 48 times, 19 of which go to Cooper Kupp. You can't do that and expect to win enough games. And I'm looking ahead at their schedule.
Yeah.
They got the what a fascinating game this week with the Cowboys at 3-1 and the Rams at 2-2. Then they play the Panthers. They got a bye, but they got some tough games after the bye. They got the 49ers. They go to Tampa Bay. They play the Chiefs in Kansas City. They've got some games where we're really going to see what they're made of. They play the Packers on Monday night, Week 15, just 6 days before Christmas. They've got some games coming up. where we're going to see if they really are getting better. And that's the challenge. Look, everybody is kind of still in it here. Nobody's out of it, not even the Texans. Are you going to get better? Are you going to learn from your mistakes the first 4 weeks of the season? Are you going to improve on the fly? And speaking of that, Chris, the fact that the Rams have been outscored 44-3 in the fourth quarter this year is amazing to me. It's astounding to me that in the most important 15 minutes of the game, they just aren't showing up.
It is a little concerning. The Cardinals game, there were some plays they left on the field the week before this, but yes, I mean, I think it speaks again to lack of running game, lack of pass protection, running out of things they can go to in the playbook because they use it all early on in the football game, and there's only so many ways we could throw the ball to Cooper Kupp and surprise you when it becomes the fourth quarter. So it is a little concerning. Overall, it's concerning right now. I mean, again, I know the 49ers, offensively only scored 17 points, but let's be real. It should have been more than that. I mean, how many times early on in the game were Joe Buck and Aikman kind of nice by, oh, well, he should have hit that one. He should have hit this one. I mean, there was plays there on the field where it went into halftime, and I'm going, man, we got a game here, but really the 49ers controlled the football game. And then, lack of physicality, letting Deebo Samuel, who's a phenomenal player, don't get me wrong, but just run around the Rams, and Jalen Ramsey missed tackles and everything there. I mean, they were out-hit, out-coached, out-physical. The 49ers looked like the team that was, more desperate or at least, hungrier to win that football game last night. There was no doubt about that after about the first drive on from the rest of the game.
Well, I think they took to heart the fact that they lost that game in prime time, so they had another chance to come back and take the taste out of their mouth, and they did. This play here that we're watching with the Jimmy Garoppolo throw to Deebo Samuel, look, they said it during the broadcast, and I tend to agree with it. I mean, if he throws that where he was supposed to throw it, it's probably getting picked off. Now, did he do it deliberately high, or was it just, I got lucky there. I got lucky it floated on me a little bit, or it would have been picked off?
I don't think that was deliberately high. I think that was, the old shamrock up your butt. I got lucky I threw that ball high right there. Yeah, because, generally that's not a thought there on that type of route. And to, protect the guy or be safe, you usually throw it low, let me stop him, let me throw a ball where he can curl up and do something there. But, again, Deebo Samuel and Shanahan's ability to get him the ball, right? And because there's other things in the offense to worry about, whether it's, Jeff Wilson, George Kittle, who's yet to have a big-time game, Brandon Ayuk, that you can't just focus or put all your eggs in one basket on let's stop Deebo Samuel all the time. But the problem is Shanahan has so many unbelievable ways to get him the football. I mean, we just showed a bunch of the plays right there. Hey, that's just a little under route, whoop-de-doo. But it's all the screen passes and the ability to get him out in space because, hey, the Rams are worried about, we're a little bit of a smaller defense. We're worried about being overpowered in the run game. We got to get an extra guy in the box. Well, extra guy in the box, that means better numbers for the screen game outside. And see, that's where Shanahan's brilliant, is he puts you in binds schematically. He tests your rules, he tests your game plan, and he adjusted to that. And, Deebo Samuel just, again, showing why he's in the conversation for best player in football with the ball in his hand. That's for sure. That's really where he's special.
And that's the key. I said this last hour, the idea that you get to this phase where it's not coached, it's not taught, it's just instinctive, and he gets the ball and he won't be denied. There's a determination there that exceeds the determination of the guys to tackle him. And it almost reminds me, in a different way but similar, of Patrick Mahomes, where I'm getting this done. I don't care where any of you are, I'm getting this done. And I'll go around you, I'll go through you, I'll go over you, I'll go past you, I'll do whatever I have to do to get to where I want to be. And it's like an unstoppable force at that point. And you're watching it, and it's like they all have a shot at it, but none of them are going to make it happen. It really does remind me of Mahomes behind the line of scrimmage, where they're all there, but they just can't do it. And that's exactly how I felt last night as Deebo was running to the end zone. They all are there, They all think they have a shot. They don't have a shot.
Yeah, no, he's he's in that category of Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, where you just go, he can do extraordinary things that are outside the realm of the playbook or the play design. You just get him the ball and they get the ball in his hands at times, and you just say, just sit back and watch out. And that's, again, I think where the 49ers are special that way, because, and I look at them, even though we're sitting here at 2-2, I just go, there's a lot of Super Bowl quality things to look at about their roster that make me believe they're going to be there, because not only we talk the coaching, Shanahan, D'Amico Ryans, one of the best defensive minds of the sport, and then players on both sides of the ball that are under the realm of what you're talking about, Mike. It's just that they can do things where, oh, wait, you're trying to double team Nick Bosa? It doesn't matter. Oh, you're trying to, make sure that Fred Warner doesn't have a free, path to the football all game long. Well, it doesn't matter. He's just too good. There's only certain things you can do to really slow them down. And I think that goes for a number of guys on both sides of the ball. And that's why, I hold them in that class. I know they're 2 losses down, but I think they're right up there as far as the talent on their football team as compared to the top teams in the sport, whether that's the Dolphins, the Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, of course. I think they're right there. It just comes down to who, Mr. Jimmy G, and his consistency, and can he play good enough to maximize that team's potential.
But the key is what the 49ers do from September through December translates to January.
Yeah, right.
That's the key. That's how they beat the Packers at Lambeau Field last year, and how they almost beat the Rams. But it's Jimmy G. Like, when is Jimmy G
we all hold
going
our breath.
to self-destruct? I
right.
tried not to, just self-destruct. I was opting for self-destruct so folks don't have their breakfasts, disrupted. But you mentioned there was a throw in the first half, and they were kind to him. He had a guy wide open. He just threw it over his head. Yeah,
well, he did. He missed a tight end, remember, down the left sideline where he threw the ball. And then I think it was 2 plays later, he had a guy going down the middle of the field on the right side. I think it was Jennings, 15, and he missed him, right? So, again, I think there's opportunities and plays that, happen throughout the game, and it goes for last week in Denver, where you scratch your head and I don't know how a guy that got to the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship game can make that decision or miss that throw. It's really jaw-dropping at times. It is. But if he can play just, like a little above average football, just a little above average football, they're going to be a real Super Bowl contender, serious threat in the NFC, because, you just look at, again, hey, last night, run the ball, throw the ball over the middle. And it was a great formula. And Shanahan, who's got obviously great feel for how Raheem Morris does things on the defensive side for the Rams, Shanahan's just a master at exposing rules or stretching a zone out, right? I thought, like, Aikman showed so many times last night where it was like a good sky cam shot of, hey, it's 2 guys trying to cover 2 guys, but Shanahan finds a way to stress out how they're going to pass these 2 receivers off in the zone to where he widens it out, and all of a sudden one guy has an area to, boom, catch the ball, and Garoppolo puts it on him. That's where Shanahan's really brilliant that way. He stresses out little issues with your scheme, and we saw that again last night, and it wasn't, I don't even think, Jimmy G's greatest game, but it was a solid game, and it ended up being a dominant win for the 49ers.
49ers have an interesting road, too, the rest of the way. They've got back-to-back Eastern time zone games, early starts in well, not an early start because they're doing it's a 1:05 start Pacific time, but still they're at Carolina, then they're at Atlanta for the 10 a.m. start local time. They got the Chiefs, they're at the Rams before their bye. They play the Chargers, they still play the Buccaneers. They've got some games that are really going to show us what they have, but they got enough there that they can win, they can get to the playoffs, and then they can be very dangerous in January if they have to go to Philadelphia. They can compete and win in Philadelphia. They can compete and win anywhere.
Agreed.
With these various teams in the NFC because of the way they play. But it does come down to Jimmy G. Wouldn't it be something if they win the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? His contract makes him a free agent. They can't use the franchise tag or the transition tag, Chris, and nobody wants him. Like that's great, but we know it wasn't you. We know you're not the reason that they won the Super Bowl. We don't want you to be our starting quarterback.
No.
I think there'll be a team that just wants the cachet at that point.
Right.
Because it'll reach a crescendo as we get to the Super Bowl, and if they do win it, that's kind of undeniable.
Exactly.
But it really won't be because of him. It'll be in spite of him.
No question. I mean, again, I think even the cachet this year almost lent him to being signed by teams where, hey, I mean, there's a lot of rumors out there. We know it was maybe, misreported to a degree, but Washington was obviously, we know that, was interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. And I would argue and just go, well, you lucked out. I mean, Carson Wentz has more talent than Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, can you imagine Jimmy Garoppolo playing in that offense with that lack of pass protection or run game? They'd have no chance in Washington. But the cachet, to your point, around Carson Wentz is like, Carson Wentz, I don't know, even though he threw for 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions last year. And then Jimmy Garoppolo, the cachet is, he's a winner, even though I want to go, nobody did more dumb shit last year at quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. Nobody threw more dumb interceptions in football last year than Jimmy Garoppolo. And he did that in the playoffs, and they still overcome it. But to your point, yes, if they win and get deep into the playoffs or get to the Super Bowl, you're right. I think the cachet itself lands them on a football team as a starter somewhere.
See, for those of you who suffered through the 1 hour without Chris, you finally got the payoff 20 minutes into hour 2 where he drops the S-bomb in reference to Jimmy Garoppolo, who, safe to say, if he's ever making the rounds at the Super Bowl, probably won't be joining PFT Live for a discussion on all of the dumb shit that he has done with a football.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.